Hello, everyone. Today is a discussion of the good moral character period required to naturalize, which is the name for your application to become a citizen when you're a lawful permanent resident. A fundamental requirement to naturalize and become a U.S. citizen is to show good moral character during the statutory period. So the first question is, what is the statutory period? The statutory period is the period of time during which you must show good moral character, and it's either going to be 3 years or 5 years. It's 3 years if you got your green card based on marriage to a U.S. citizen and you're still married to that U.S. citizen. For everybody else, it's 5 years. So depending on your statutory period, you have to show good moral character through that entire period of 3 years before you file for naturalization, or 5 years. So intuitively, the most obvious problems to show good moral character are going to be any type of criminal convictions. If you have any type of criminal conviction, you're going to want to talk to a lawyer, because likely it's going to be a bar to showing good moral character, and you're gonna have to wait until that criminal conviction is beyond 3 or 5 years, depending on your statutory period, before you apply for naturalization. Though there are a few exceptions. One exception is if it's one petty offense, which is also classified as a crime of moral turpitude. I'm not going to go into detail about what's a crime of moral turpitude is, or a CMT for short. This is a very important category of crimes that can create problems for you in immigration. It might be theft, it might be, it could be, DUIs actually aren't crime of moral turpitudes, but it can be typically a variety of crimes where someone intended to do something. So it's a little more serious than kind of what we call a reckless crime. If you have only one of those and the sentence was less than 6 months and the max sentence was a year or less, you might still qualify for naturalization, but you definitely want to have that analyzed because it can create a lot of problems. The only other exception for criminal conviction is one offense related to possession of 30 grams or less of marijuana. Okay, but even with those offenses, I encourage you to talk to a lawyer because there can be some wrinkles to that. So generally, any type of criminal conviction during the period, you want to have that analyzed. The other important thing to understand about the good moral character requirement is that other unlawful acts can also create big problems and make you ineligible for citizenship. The most common ones being a tax debt, failure to pay taxes during the statutory period. Even if you're on a payment plan, we still have to analyze that because it gets quite nuanced. If you're on a payment plan, how much have you paid? When did you start the payment plan? It can still create a good moral character problem. Another common one is failure to pay child support or support your dependents. If you have dependents that don't live with you, you're going to have to show that you've supported them, whether you have a court order or not, throughout the good moral character period. Some other examples of behavior that can create good moral character problems are, of course, some type of false testimony during the good moral character period. If there's any evidence that you applied for a benefit you weren't entitled to, that creates a problem. And then again, going back to criminal conduct, even if you were never convicted, if you were even charged or arrested, and the officer thinks that, yeah, you weren't ever charged or prosecuted or convicted, but there's still evidence to suggest, either based on the applicant's testimony or other evidence, that you still did some things that were unlawful or showed negative moral character, it can still create a problem. So just because you weren't convicted doesn't mean we don't want to look at it very closely to make sure you're eligible for naturalization. That's a little bit about the good moral character requirement. As always, feel free to contact us at 303-872-6985 or via our website if you have questions about becoming a U.S. citizen. Thanks, everyone.